before the 1857 revolt, India's first war of independence, the society was ridden with social evils like caste discrimination, sati, child marriage, gender inequality, etc. Educated Indians started realizing that the British wanted to keep India poor and backward for selfish reasons. Social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and Syed Ahmad Khan strongly protested against these social practices and encouraged widow remarriage and women's education. Rise of the spirit of nationalism. Though the 1857 revolt failed badly, it sowed the seeds of nationalism among the people. They realized that it was time to unite and fight back. This led to the formation of the Indian National Congress in 1885. The INC put forth certain demands to the British for social reforms to eradicate the evils prevailing in the society.
Dada Bhai Nauroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and S.N. Banerjee were important leaders of the Indian National Congress. The demands made by these leaders were simple, like representation in the government, equal treatment in the army, and civil services, etc. These demands were expressed through peaceful means, and the leaders were thus called moderates. On the other hand, leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Bipin Chandra Pal were regarded as extremists because of their overall aggressive stand. The Lal Bal Pal trio believed that India must achieve Swarajya or self-rule and not be ruled by anyone.
Partition of Bengal and the Swadeshi movement. The rise and spread of Indian nationalism across the entire country started worrying the British. They decided to divide the people on the basis of religion. In 1905, Lord Curzon, the then Viceroy of India, divided Bengal into East Bengal and West Bengal, one for the Muslims and the other for the Hindus. The Indians protested strongly against the division of Bengal. The INC launched the Swadeshi movement and encouraged Indians to boycott foreign-made goods and use only goods that were made in India. Women and students too participated actively, making bonfires of imported goods and shouting slogans fearlessly. The British tried their best to put down the movement by beating people mercilessly and arresting them. However, it was the unity of the Indians that won, and the British were forced to reunite Bengal. During the partition of Bengal, many young leaders like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru started taking aggressive steps against the British. These leaders were called revolutionaries. The revolutionary leaders were even ready to lay down their lives for their motherland. Chandrasekhar Azad, Aurobindo Ghosh, Barun Ghosh, and Khudiram Bose were some well-known revolutionaries. When Gandhiji returned to India from South Africa in 1915, he was shocked to see people being discriminated on their caste and color. He called the untouchables Harijan, people of God, and started working among the masses.
The Rowlatt Act and the Jallianwala Bagh Massacre.
The British started imposing newer laws in order to suppress the rebel Indians. The Rowlatt Act was passed by the British in 1919 and gave them the power to send anyone to jail without a fair trial. The people strongly opposed this act, calling it the Black Act.
On 13th April 1919, more than 10,000 men, women and children assembled at the Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar to peacefully oppose the Rowlatt Act. To foil the demonstration, General Dyer brought in his troops, closed the main entrance of the park, and opened fire on the people. This shocking and inhuman incident not just killed thousands of innocent people, but also indicated the complete apathy of the British towards Indians. The non-cooperation movement. After the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Gandhiji launched the non-cooperation movement in September 1920, asking complete independence from British rule. People across the country pledged their wholehearted support to the movement. Indians working in government offices resigned, lawyers boycotted courts, and teachers, lecturers, and children left British-run educational institutions.
Vallabhbhai Patel, C. Rajgopalachari, Pandit Motilal Nehru, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru left their legal practice and started working with the Indian National Congress. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore even returned the prestigious knighthood bestowed upon him by the British in 1915. Though Subhash Chandra Bose had been elected president of INC twice earlier, he parted ways and went to Japan to form an army of 40,000 Indian soldiers and called it the Azad Hind Fauj or the Indian National Army. The non-cooperation movement shocked the British by its sheer strength. However, in February 1922, an angry mob of people set a police station on fire in Chauri Chaura in Uttar Pradesh, killing 22 policemen. This violent behavior of the people greatly disturbed Gandhiji, and he called off the non-cooperation movement. The Simon Commission. In 1928, the British government appointed the Simon Commission to review the law and order administration of the British in India and suggest new reforms.
As Indians were not part of the commission, it was boycotted by all Indian leaders. The commission was welcomed in India with black flags and slogans of Simon Go Back. Lala Lajpat Rai led a similar demonstration in Lahore. He was badly hurt in the police lathi charge and later succumbed to his injuries. On 26th January 1930, the Indian National Congress announced Poorn Swaraj, the first ever declaration of independence. Civil Disobedience Movement. The British enacted the Salt Law, which prohibited Indians from making salt. On 12th March 1930, Gandhiji inaugurated the Civil Disobedience Movement with the historic Dandi March. The march started from Sabarmati Ashram and covered a distance of 385 kilometers to Dandi along the sea coast. At Dandi, Gandhiji and his followers made salt and thus broke the salt law. C. Rajagopalachari conducted a similar march in Tamil Nadu. This was also called the Salt Satyagraha. The term Satyagraha symbolizes force born from truth and love. Women, peasants, as well as Adivasis and Dalits took part in the civil disobedience movement. The Quit India movement. On 8th August 1942, the Congress passed the Quit India Resolution under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. The Quit India movement marked the beginning of the final fight for an independent nation. The British government decided to crush the movement by arresting all the prominent leaders before the morning of 9th August 1942. This infuriated the whole nation, which rose to declare the Quit India or Chale Jao slogan that the British government could not ignore. People echoed the slogan of do or die to win complete independence. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and the INA fought the British valiantly from outside India but were defeated. Freedom at last. The British won the Second World War but incurred heavy losses. Furthermore, the agitation on Indian soil and the attack by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's Indian National Army weakened the foundation of British rule in India. All these reasons made the British feel that granting complete freedom to the Indians was the only option. On 18th July 1947, the British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act, which partitioned India into two independent nations, namely India and Pakistan. At midnight on 15th August 1947, the British lowered the Union Jack and the Indian tricolour was unfurled. Lord Mountbatten was the last Viceroy of British India, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of independent India. with Jawaharlal Nehru as its first Prime Minister.